All right, Java programmers, here is a bonus video to help you answer the challenge exercise that I gave you at the end of section 2. So the challenge exercise that I posed for you was to take our guessing game high-low app and add to it the ability to count the number of guesses that someone took, or count the number of tries that it took to guess the right number. So what we're going to do is modify this last version of our high-low guessing game.java file, and we're going to add to it the ability to count the number of tries that it took the user. So the first piece in solving this problem is to create another variable for the number of tries. We just have to decide whether we want to do that in the play again loop or for each separate game. Well, the number of tries really is something we're counting every time we take a single guess, so it's inside a single round. I'm going to create a variable that will hold the number of tries. And I might call that a variable, and it's going to be a whole number. I might call it an integer number of tries, for example. And so far the user hasn't tried at all, so we're starting out with number of tries equals 0. As soon as they guess a number, then we're going to add 1 to their number of tries, right? So if they guess it on the first try, they still took 1 try. So we can add 1 to the number of tries. Number of tries. And we can do this a few different ways in Java. I'll move this up on the screen so it's a little easier to see. So I've got a variable to keep track of the number of tries. I started at 0, but as soon as they guess, and every time they guess, we should add 1 to that number of tries. We could say number of tries equals whatever it was before, number of tries, plus 1. So if it came in as 0, it becomes 1. Then if it comes in as 1, it becomes 2. So we add to this variable and store it back in that same variable. So we take whatever the variable was, we evaluate the right-hand side first, add 1 to it, and then store it back in over here. That will work for us. We could also shorten that down to a little shortcut from our old C++ days with number of tries plus plus. We call this a post increment. Increment means it adds 1 to whatever we have as our variable. So number of tries becomes 1, then 2, then 3, then 4. So either of those two ways, if you like it like this, number of tries equals number of tries plus 1, that's fine. If you want to say number of tries plus plus and do it a little bit shorter, that works just as well. Now the only thing is we have to tell how many tries it took. So we could do that when we guess correctly, or we can do it right after that while loop ends. We can just report to the user system.out.println. It only took you. And remember, if we want to print out a number, a variable here, we'll print it out of tries outside quotation marks, just like we did with our guesses here. So we printed out the number of the guess, and then we added to it the rest of this text. We're going to do the same thing. It only took you, number of tries, and I can hit return inside this system.out.println, as long as I remember to stitch things together with the plus operator to concatenate my strings. It only took you, number of tries. Tries, good work. Now if you want to take it one step even further, you could put a condition here that says if the number of tries was less than 8 or 10, they did a really good job. If it was more than 10, you could do better, right? But for the challenge problem, the challenge exercise, all I asked you to do was report the number of tries. So let's give this a run and see how it looks. I've got to guess a number between 1 and 100. I'm going to guess 50. I'm doing what's called a binary search, remember? I'm getting rid of half of the possibilities each time. 50 was too low, So let's try 75. That's too high. 62 is too low. 68, also too low. 71. Wow, might be 73. And it only took me 6 tries. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 is correct. Very cool. So I want to play again and make sure that it can do that again. Say 50, that's too high. Let's try 25. That's too high. 12, also too high. 6, 3 is too low. It's either got to be 4 or 5. And that took me 7 tries. Well, if you use this technique that I'm using, guessing halfway between whatever number of whatever range is left. So the first time, all the numbers between 1 and 100 could be good, so I guess right in the middle at 50. Then if that was too high, I guess right in the middle of 0 to 50, and that gives me 25. That was too high. Between 1 and 25 was 12. And you keep going on down through. I'll always get a number between 1 and 100 in about 7 tries or less. That's pretty cool stuff. But this keeps track of the number of tries it took us to guess our number. And we did that just by adding a couple of lines of code. Let's go back up and see those. First, we added a variable to keep track of the number of tries. We called it number of tries. Remember, your capitalization and spelling matter. We set it equal to 0, but every time the user guessed, we added 1 to that number of tries to keep track of how many times they've guessed. And then at the end, after they won, we said, it took you how many tries? And then we told the user, good work. Well, you deserve a good work as well. Good job. You've made it through the challenge exercise. Now it's time to move ahead and build the graphical user interface version of this app.